Hello, it's Philip Taylor speaking from Richmond Green Chambers in London. Now this morning I'm looking at a book which has come to us from Ashgate Publishing. Very high standard of publishing at Ashgate, and this is by no means anything other than a really first-class book from their stable of titles. The book I'm looking at is called Fundamental Principles of European Union Law Against Money Laundering. It's been written by Emmanuel Ioannidis. I hope I've pronounced that correctly. My wife Elizabeth and I talked about this book. We've both done the bar course, public access course concerning money laundering issues, part of the directive from the EU. We're very well aware of its effect, certainly on the legal profession in the United Kingdom, and I think this book is very helpful. So we've given it the title, The Impact of Anti-Money Laundering Legislation, an Important New Analysis, and that's what we've got here. Let's look at the book first of all. It's actually a hardback. It's quite light. There's the front page there. It's, as I say, from Ashgate. You can see the detail there. On the back, the spine, and then the back, there's quite a lot of detail as to what's actually in it, and some quotes about what the book is aimed at. It runs to under 200 pages. There's the index, which you can see at the back. And then from the back, we run through to a very detailed bibliography. As to be expected, there's been a huge amount of work put into this. And then you've got, the bibliography actually runs to a very substantial number of pages. Then you've got, for the various chapters, useful conclusions. You do have a bit of footnoting at the bottom. If we go to the front, you can see the front page there. There's the main front page of the author. Then you can see the structure. There are 8 chapters in total, with a conclusion at the end. So there's the introduction, then you've got the main chapters, basic principles and advanced principles, and then you've got a table of cases, not that many, I hasten to add, from the various jurisdictions. So they're not just UK cases or British English law, English and Wales cases. The list of abbreviations is well worth looking at too, and then do read the preface, because it starts off with the purpose behind the anti-money laundering system, which has been restructured to combat international economic crime. Then you get into the introduction and a guide to understanding AML law itself. Now, as I say, you can see some of the footnotes are actually quite detailed. It's a heavy book in terms of its content, and it's not something that I think, unless you've got some understanding of it, you're going to find that easy to read initially. But for people, certainly legal professionals, it's an area we have to pay a very, very substantial amount of attention to. And so I welcome this book for the high level of the content, the high level of erudite debate which Ioannidis has produced. And this is what we say. In examining the workings of anti-money laundering legislation in the European Union, this important new book from Ashgate focuses on the prevention and control of economic crime, illicit enrichment and terrorist financing. Almost without a doubt, it is the funding of terrorist activity which resonates most conspicuously with the public, as well as those with the power to influence policy. As terrorism and terrorists require funds, money laundering can no longer be dismissed as a victimless crime. Ashgate's publication of this book is therefore timely, we think. This is a fascinating, challenging and evolving area of law, says the author Emmanuel Ioannidis, to which he has devoted an astonishing amount of research, much of it undertaken at the Institute of Advanced Legal Studies in the University of London, an excellent organisation, if I may say so, as well as other institutions. This book, he says, should appeal to 2 categories of readers: those who favour more regulation, and therefore more anti-money laundering legislation, and those who favour less. Those in the first group are concerned with the threats posed by organised crime and terrorist financing to national and international safety and security. The second group worry about the relentlessly increasing encroachment of publicly funded surveillance into private activity. If anything, the book makes a convincing case for more regulation rather than less, whenever necessary, bearing in mind the rights of the innocent, that's unconvicted persons, under the European Convention on Human Rights, the EHCR. This book is divided into two parts. The first concentrates on basic principles, including the way in which criminal enterprise is resisted and or disrupted, and additionally the rationale of money laundering controls. The second part covers a range of issues from identifying unaccountable wealth to financial intelligence. Chapter 7 here, which is particularly relevant to the United Kingdom, deals with the retention of personal data, the rights of unconvicted persons, and the effects of financial regulation on businesses. Money laundering and the host of problems and pressures it creates impacts on just about everyone, particularly members of the legal profession, who will be especially interested in the book's analysis of the obligations imposed on the investigating authorities in the context of the European Union itself. And with its copious footnoting, lists of cases and a 21-page bibliography, we think this book is a valuable source of information and research, not just for lawyers, but for academics, for students, and indeed anyone needing to enhance their understanding of this crucial aspect of EU law. And the publication date is cited at 2014. Just have a quick look at the book again. There's the front and the back. You've got quite a large amount of information in the middle. You can see the footnoting and all the other detail that is there. And as I say, you've got a very detailed bibliography. I'd like to thank everybody concerned with this book. Obviously the author has done a huge amount of work on it. Ashgate have come up with an excellent book here, and I thank them for it because it helps the discussions that we're having at the moment on money laundering. So thank you to all concerned. Bye-bye.